If you've ever been in a classroom, you know the feeling. The teacher is asking a question, and you, having mentally checked out 5 minutes ago, are desperately trying to shrink into your hoodie, praying for eye contact not to happen. Then, the inevitable disaster strikes. If your teacher ever calls on you during class even though you didn't raise your hand, a move often calculated to embarrass or catch you off guard, I have a brilliant, foolproof, and utterly chaotic way to make sure they'll never do that again. My teachers used to pull this tactic on me all the time. They noticed I wasn't paying attention, probably because I was aggressively drawing dinosaurs in my notebook or staring blankly at the ceiling tiles. So, I guess they wanted to publicly embarrass me or use me as a cautionary tale for the rest of the class. Before I developed my strategy, I used to absolutely freak out when this happened. The teacher would call my name, and a wave of pure, white-hot panic would seize my brain. I wouldn't know the answer, so I'd start mentally scrolling through the last 5 minutes of overheard class discussion, trying to figure out what the topic even was. I'd stammer, sweat, and make a general fool of myself while trying to piece together a coherent response. The sheer agony of that 3-second pause felt like an hour-long interrogation under bright lights. This routine, the panic, the sweating, the stammering apology, only encouraged the teachers. It was proof they had caught me slacking, and they'd mark me as an easy target for future impromptu quizzes. But then, one day in pre-calculus, I got called on again, and this time, the panic was replaced by a strange, liberating form of resignation. I still didn't know the solution, but I decided that this time, I wasn't going to give them the satisfaction of seeing me squirm. I decided I was just going to say a random, wrong answer, super confidently. I figured, what's worse, being caught unprepared and stammering, or being caught unprepared and acting like I'm the smartest person in the room? The answer was clearly the latter. It was time to introduce chaos to the classroom dynamic. So, the moment arrived. My math teacher, Mr. Harrison, pointed his red pen straight at me. Tyler, what's the answer to question 4 on the board? I didn't even glance at the board. I didn't hesitate. I didn't sweat. I simply locked eyes with him and stated, with the unwavering conviction of a physicist presenting a grand unified theory, 36. There's a slight ripple of confusion from the class, but my confidence was so absolute, it was intimidating. Mr. Harrison stared at me, his pen frozen midway to the board. He finally said, slowly, no, Tyler, it's -2. But here's where the brilliance of the strategy lies. Because I had sounded so incredibly confident when answering, it didn't look like I'd been daydreaming. It didn't look like I hadn't studied. It looked like I'd done the work, I was paying attention, but I had simply made a monumental, fundamental arithmetic error. In short, it made it seem like I was paying attention, but I was just dumb. The strategy worked like a charm. Mr. Harrison, instead of seeing a student who was disrespectfully ignoring his lecture, saw a student who was present, engaged, but perhaps academically challenged. He no longer saw me as a lazy student who needed to wake up. He saw me as a complex, well-meaning, low-performing project who might need special attention. And what does a teacher not want to do? Waste time quizzing the student who is clearly struggling with basic concepts. The result? From this point on, he didn't call on me the rest of the year unless I was actively raising my hand. The anxiety was gone. The target was neutralized. I had successfully managed my teacher's expectations down to 0, simply by being confidently, loudly wrong. He did, however, recommend that I get held back that year because he thought my core understanding of mathematics was irrevocably broken. But hey, that's besides the point. I got my classroom piece, and I proved that sometimes the greatest weapon against the fear of public speaking isn't preparation. It's unwarranted, aggressive self-assurance.